Hi Stan, how are you?
Good.
Thank you very much for being with me today. So this is part of our Inside EC series in the pink chair. Lovely to have you in person and not on Zoom. What a difference it makes. So tell everybody, what do you do at Emerging Communications? What's your area of expertise?
Yeah, I am a senior account executive at EC, our client service team. And I've been working here for roughly a year now. You know, actually last week was my anniversary with EC.
Oh, we've loved having you.
Yeah, so I manage quite a wide range of clients, so from education, B2B, and to real estate, but my focus is now on education. So my day-to-day duty would include communication, obviously, with clients as well as our internal team, so to make sure that our work are delivered at best quality. And that work would also include like social media management, campaign management, so that would be programmatic display or PPC campaign. And I also work really closely with our planning team, so we can work out the best strategy. Either it's a short-term marketing activity, even like a long-term, like a brand image building campaign. So we can give the best advice to our clients. And if you're talking about like my main strengths, I would say I'm a pretty data-driven person. So I enjoy translating like figures and number into like digestible insight for clients.
Fantastic. So you're really the conduit between the client and all the various sectors that we have at the agency. So the paid, the copywriting, the design. So you are basically their go-to person for the account.
Yeah. So basically, I'm the window for everything for clients and for our planning team. For even we have the suppliers, media partners. So we just make sure everything is going smoothly as planned.
Do you think it's important to have an account management team?
Yeah, it is obviously very important because even though like you have like a really small thing, but small thing when it piles up, it becomes like a big mess.
Agree.
So definitely you need someone to manage everything for you.
Fantastic. So talking about the education sector particularly, so what's important for universities to do now? In light of post-COVID, it's very competitive. We know that it's going to be the #1 student destination. So what are your main focuses with your university clients in terms of delivery?
I think for the education sector, so this sector is very different from other industry. So a lot of people will think that when you are getting a degree, it's sort of like getting a high value product, like a house or like a car. But essentially, like somehow it's true. Like you are paying a lot for a degree.
Absolutely.
But it's actually more than that because the students are actually buying like a life experience at the university. So it is not like a product. So you can get like 10 LV bag or like 10 Rolex watches, but you can do that with your degree. Yeah. So I think just it's very important for the university to stick to their brand values and the values they believe in, and then try to think that what is the most relevant messages to the Chinese audiences.
So it's really about having a very good content strategy and about storytelling to position that university in its competitive set. And all too often when we speak to universities, as you well know, there seems to be a real sense of focusing on, well, we do these degrees and we do these postgrads, but actually it's the whole holistic experience that the student is buying, and they're getting very fussy, right? So we've got to be very, very good at what we do to differentiate that university. So to that end, what do you do to leverage alumni with universities then?
Yeah, I think like alumni and like an active community, that is a very powerful tool for the university. So taking one of my clients as example, so WeChat articles, you have reads, and then half of the reads from our brand WeChat account, they come from share. So share from their friends' moments or private messages. So it means that if you can really like manage a really good and active, avid community, that you can actually double your reach without spend extra. Yeah. And this is really important, and especially for the prospects, if they got reached by word of mouth, if like acquaintances or like a friend, they are much more easier to be converted. So another example is that a really good friend of mine, we went to the same university, and then the reason she chose that university is because her professor from her UG program studied at the same university, and then she recommended it, and then she applied for it. So even though like she studied in the university 20 years ago, and then 20 years later, it's because of that alumni, and then she got a new applicant. So it's really important to keep the community alive. So this is what I recommend my client to do as well, to include more UGC content on a social channel. Even though like somehow you find that the quality of it may not be as good as like a brand production, but really because those advice and the voices from the alumni, they are genuine and truthful. So you should the brand should really talk to all people instead of just prospects.
I totally agree. I think it's a real missed opportunity when universities don't talk to their existing students on campus and their alumni, who are going to tell their friends and family about it, who then become tomorrow's students. And it's basically growing organically and not always having to put paid behind it. Absolutely. So planning content and focuses now post-COVID. What would you give us, just a couple of tips before we finish off, to universities when planning content?
So just I think there are two main points. The first one, you have to stick to the brand value, what value you believe in, and be culturally sensible. Because just mentioned, a lot of universities, they would neglect the existing student alumni. They just tend to focus on their try to seek more new students from their prospective students. And I think this situation happen more often when you find like university, they use their recruitment team to run their social media. I think it is not a big problem of it, but because for the recruitment team, their goal is conversion. So sometimes you just be a bit too salesy.
Yeah.
So
bit too direct.
So I think this is really important that you stick to what your brands believe in, like what values and what unique experiences you are providing, and then translate it into something that it's relevant to the Chinese audience. And that brings to my second point: be culturally sensible. I think like for the Western you value individualism quite much, but I think you have to be bold and then reach your goal, and then focus on a lot of personal progression. But I think that is really important for the East as well. But for the East, we value collectivism quite a lot.
Yeah.
So when you are talking a value to or a message to your audiences, you have to think how does it is relevant to the Chinese audience. If the COVID, even though what we are saying a lot here in the UK, but what's their concern? So you have to put your thinking into that Chinese context to think what they are really concerned about. So taking for being bold, a slogan example. Being bold here may be speaking up in the class, but does that mean it to the Chinese audience? Maybe it's not. And I think the university has to focus a lot on the community management, to manage the community that the student feel really welcome, but at the same time they have to be really comfortable in that environment. So for them to progress, because the student, they are coming so far away from their home, and this is their first time to live on their own. So it would be really, really difficult and especially intimidating to be living in here. So I think that's really important to manage a comfortable community experience for all the Chinese students.
I think absolutely. I think it's about context, about relevance, and about being culturally sensitive, to understand that the education system in China is very different. It's very, 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 very regimented, and you are not encouraged necessarily to think autonomously, which of course is the way that we study here. And so it is a very different and very frightening experience for students. And those universities that we work with that are really emotive and really get their point across in a very sensitive way do really, really well. Stan, thank you. It was an absolute pleasure talking to us today. You've been amazing on our team, and we love you. So this was part of Inside EC series, where we bring our teams to life and we demonstrate our expertise. Today I was with Stan from our account management team within the university sector. If you want to find out more about China, you want to find out more about being successful in China, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we are constantly putting on webinars and vlogs and podcasts of interesting facts about how to be successful. And have a good day, everybody.